Whipple and Al Keel and Steve Chano as our new school ambassadors tonight. Thanks for being here.
Okay, my name is Steve Chano and I'm in 8th grade.
My name is Haley, I'm in 8th grade.
Al Keel, 6th grade. The student ambassadors have been busy helping out at different events like parent-teacher conferences and the Pathway Showcase. We greet families at the front door and help them find classrooms, teachers, or navigate the building. I participated in this event and I loved helping out.
Safe Sitters. 24 6th grade students participated in the Safe Sitters Babysitting Certification Program during term 3. All of the students graduated and they were given their official certification to babysit last week. They learned what qualities make you the best babysitter, how to handle an emergency, some CPR and first aid basics, and how to start up a babysitting business.
Students in grades 6 through 8 attended a field trip to the Carousel Family Fun Center, sponsored by the Middle School Student Council. Students had fun roller skating, hanging snacks, and playing games. As someone who was there, I really enjoyed it.
The middle school Caring Crusaders attended the Be in the Know conference at Bridgewater State University. The students heard personal and celebrity perseverance stories. This presentation also led to interactive activities with perseverance as the theme.
Middle school students took a trip to Sky Zone where they got to jump, swing, and hang out with their friends.
I am this year's Project 351 ambassador. I attended the Project 351 launch day in Boston in January. Launch day unites all of the ambassadors in Massachusetts for a day of leadership and service. I just finished up with my spring service project for Cradles to Crayons organization. I collected hundreds of gently new and used clothing for Cradles to Crayons. I will be sorting and delivering it all on Thursday with a group of my friends who volunteered to help.
The middle school students participated in the State of Cash and had the opportunity to win amazing prizes for having good attendance and living up to our school motto, which encourages principals to be responsible and do the best you can do.
The Wizards basketball team visited Carver Middle High School last week for an amazing night of basketball and fun for all students in the district. They even came to visit us during our lunches on the day game. They were very entertaining. I was there and we had a lot of fun jokes. They even kissed one of my friend's moms.
Last month, the 8th grade students in the film science class worked hard to create carnival games based on Newton's law. I participated in this event and it was fun working together and showing off the games that were created. Here's a video for you guys.
Cindy, what game did you create?
I created the one with like the Nerf gun and the stars. It was like black. It was very fun. Very popular.
That is popular.
Yeah.
Is that-
Okay.
we look forward to our next meeting where we'll be wrapping up the school year.
Thank you very much.
That's why we're here. Oh, thank you, everyone. Okay, so I unmute. Do we have anyone online that might be interested in public comment?
No,
Okay.
it's just people in the room.
Okay. So if there's anyone here that has anything they would like to say, you're more than welcome to come to the table. Now is our time where we open up our meeting to comments from the public. Anyone have anything they'd like to add? Okay, so seeing no movement toward the table, we shall move on to the approval of minutes from the March 17, 2025 open session.
I move that we approve the March 17, 2025 open session minutes.
I second. Excellent. Yes. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. No communications this evening?
No communications this evening.
Okay, so that brings us to, that brings us to reports from the superintendent.
And so first, personnel updates. Since our last meeting, we've had just a couple changes. We have a new hire, Christian Carmen, food service utility at Carver Middle High School. And we also have 2 resignations, Jessica Freiberg, cook at Carver Middle High School, and Catherine Butler in food services at Carver Middle High School. That's been our personnel changes since our last meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. And that brings us to the Democratic, sorry, I'm trying to get into it and it's not in there. That's okay. The Democratic Knowledge Project Grant. Dr. Mara.
So we've applied for and received a grant from the 1-8 Foundation to participate in the Democratic Knowledge Project. And Dr. Erickson is going to talk a little bit about the grant and what it means for us at Carver Middle High School.
And I'm unmuting over here.
Yes.
Can everyone hear?
Oh, I'm muted now.
We're good?
Should be good.
Okay, sounds great. So we just wanted to update the school committee on this grant that we received, as Mr. Neef mentioned, from the 1-8 Foundation to fund some 8th grade curriculum professional development, and it's entitled the Democratic Knowledge Project. So in 2017, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education rewrote their history and social sciences curricula K through 12. And one of the largest changes was trying to get back to having more civics education embedded within the history curriculum. So typically, when you see history curriculum, it gets broken down into civics, into economics, into geography, and then into history. And they felt like there had been a waning focus on civics over a certain number of decades and decided to get back to that. So there are some key components to the 8th grade civics curriculum, or the course, and the Democratic Knowledge Project has done a nice job of aligning with the state frameworks and creating a solution for teachers to be able to access this. So the curriculum in and of itself is free. And the intention is that it emphasizes and integrates the complexity and diversity of America's civic past, present, and future throughout the whole curriculum. So when you go to the website, they start off with some statistics, and they say that in a poll that was taken, that only 32% of U.S. adults feel pride in the American political system. I don't know when that was taken. And then 1 in 4 young people believe choosing leaders through free elections is unimportant, and that fewer than 30% of people under the age of 40 consider it essential to live in a democracy, compared to 70% for generations that were born before World War II. So those are some statistics, and the intention of the curriculum is to try to encourage students to develop their civic identity. So there are materials that they provide, including foundational civic knowledge, and they talk about the philosophy behind it and about the 3 branches of government.
And then also they really want to tap into this notion of critical thinking and student agency, and allowing students as they develop their civic identities to really be critical of the information that they're receiving online. We know that a fair amount of research right now is being governed by artificial intelligence, and of that they say 1 in 5 resources that AI pulls from is news, and of that 60% of it is often factually inaccurate. So it's trying to get students to understand resources and cite them a little bit better. So the 3 big areas is to foster the sense of civic identity, engage students in learning how government functions, and to teach students to research information and resources. And all of that will lead to the state requirement of having a student-led civics project in 8th grade, which we do now, but now it will align with the Democratic Knowledge Project. So enveloped in the grant, we received 3 years of professional learning and support. We had to agree to make sure that all 8th grade students were able to access the curriculum, and that meant training all teachers that teach 8th grade civics. And so I just want to really quickly give a shout out to our history department chair, Brendan Cully, who was not only integral in coming to me asking about this grant, but also helped lead all of the 8th grade teachers in his department to sense make around what this curriculum was about, and to give them an opportunity to pilot it, and then to make sure that they had some say in whether or not they would proceed. So everyone bought into it. We attended a couple different functions last year, some virtual, some face-to-face, and agreed to a 3-year rollout. So the grant covers all 3 years and 3 years of professional development. Included within the curriculum are 7 different modules and then 2 add-on modules. So the first year, we agreed to roll out the first 6 modules or the first 6 units, and then after that, we agreed to add on the remaining in subsequent years. So that's just a general overview, and again, I want to thank the history department and Brendan Curley's leadership. And you should have a notice of the grant there. The grant covers about $17,000 worth of professional development, so it's a great opportunity for our teachers.
That's amazing.
And the social studies teachers are really bought in, they're excited about this, and having this become a foundation of our 8th grade civics curriculum. So this is a great opportunity for teachers and our students.
I'm very excited about it too.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So my computer is doing an update that I could not postpone because it would not let me. So I just switched to my iPad, so I just need to jump back to where I was. So I can see the agenda again. I apologize. Oh, no, why? See, I have not used this on an iPad before. It's great to learn new technology before a meeting, but okay. How do I get there? My apologies for the delay. Okay, so next is the Reed's Deaf and Hard of Hearing Facility.
Yep. So we talked earlier this year that Reed was looking at the possibility of purchasing a building to house this deaf and hard of hearing program. So I want to give the committee an update on that. So the intention is to move forward with the purchase of the building. So I'll kind of give you the background, what the impact would be for Carver, and why I'm supporting that purchase. So currently, Reed's Deaf and Hard of Hearing program has 52 students enrolled in pre-K through 12. And on the screen, you can see the breakdown of how many students are each grade level and the number of students who are participating in either full inclusion or attending parts of the day in the different schools. And right now, the program is housed in the Norton Public Schools. And except for one high school program is at Bristol Plymouth. But the majority of the program are housed within the schools within Norton. And the reality is Norton just got to the position and said, we can't give you as many classrooms as you need to run this program. And they notified Reed of that about a year ago. So now they've kind of gone through a process in terms of what's going to happen to the program. Currently the program has 10 full-time teachers, 13 full-time assistants, 17 full-time interpreters, and 4 full-time specialists. And this is the big thing. Ultimately, if you go to the next slide, they're using 10 classrooms in the Norton Public Schools and 6.5 additional spaces. And then they have 1 alcove at Bristol Plymouth, because the deaf and hard of hearing students do have the opportunity for vocational education. So they do the vocational education at Bristol Plymouth. All of the other education's happening in the Norton Public Schools. But you really think that's a lot of classrooms for Norton to give up.
Yeah.
There's not many districts we can say, yeah, we can give you 10 classrooms and 6.5 additional spaces, meaning offices, places for your OT, PT, speech, all that type of stuff. So obviously, and really I threw the slide here because the deaf and hard of hearing program has really been integrated into the Norton Public Schools for many, many years. And it's been a great partnership and a great relationship. And part of the reasons that eventually you're going to see in the presentation that I support the purchase of the building is the building's in Norton. It's about a quarter mile from one of the elementary schools. And Norton's saying they're going to still fully support the program for inclusion. So the kids are going to still go take classes at Norton High. They just don't have a classroom for them at Norton High. So they're going to be able to keep this relationship alive. Interesting side note, so the students from the Reed program participated at the halftime of the Celtics game. So one of those events where the halftime comes out, students come out, play basketball. I just happened to be at that game. That was last year, because the one Celtics game I went to, and also the Norton Reed's deaf and hard of hearing kids went on the floor. So the point of this was just to say, hey, they're fully integrated in everything that's happening in the Norton Public Schools. I just kind of said this, why is this happening? At the end of last year, the Norton Public Schools notified Reeds they no longer have classroom space in 2 of its 4 schools. So they said, we can still give you space in 2 of the 4, but our concern is down the road, you're not going to use any of our spaces. But Norton did agree to continue the partnership with Reeds and offer the inclusion opportunities for the students. And there really has been that positive relationship. Reeds did look at other options. They talked with Norton actually about leasing modular classrooms and putting them onto their buildings. Obviously, Norton had some reservation about that, about having, I'm sure we would as well, if someone said, hey, why don't we come put some modular buildings next to the high school or next to the elementary school so we can house an outside program. They reached out to all the other member districts and said, can you host? And including us, so they did reach out to me and say, would you be able to take our program in and bring the Reeds program to Carver? And obviously we don't have the space to do that, especially at the elementary school level, we don't have the space to do that. So that really wasn't an option. They reached out to every district as part of Reeds, and that was the answer they received. But they did consider splitting the program. So there was a discussion of, do we split this thing up, and we have the preschool in one town, the K2 in another town, the 3-5 in another town, the middle school in another town. And they just felt like that wasn't the best option. They feel like keeping the whole program together makes it have a sense or a feel of a school. If it was just split out and randomly in classrooms all over southeastern Mass, that wouldn't be as effective for the students. They did look at renting or leasing a building. We'll talk about that a little bit in terms of cost. Long term, they just believe that the purchase one made more sense than entering into a lease or renting a facility. And they also had discussions about closing the program. Do we just need to move this on and look in another direction? But that really wasn't seriously considered, because ultimately it's one of the only programs in southeastern Massachusetts. So the impact for the current sending districts is we would have had to transport students a lot farther to get to a deaf and hard of hearing program. So it really would have created a vacuum in southeastern Mass if the program closed. So based on all this, this is the building we're looking to purchase, which is in Norton, as I said, about a quarter of a mile from the Yale Elementary School in Norton. I happen to serve on the facilities subcommittee for Reeds Collaborative. I know you voted for me to serve on the full board, but I also serve on the subcommittee for facilities. So I have gone out personally, I've toured this building, I've been in the space, I've been involved in many of the meetings where some of these decisions were made, giving my inputs and my thoughts about this. So I have been heavily involved in the process up to date. So I've been to this building, and it's really, the next slide is going to show you a list of things that need to happen for this to open as a school. And it's going to look a little daunting, but it really isn't. And the natural structure of this building, I didn't take any pictures inside, is it looks like a school. Like it's literally broken up into classrooms. So there's not a lot of like construction that has to happen, even though this next list does look a little daunting. Oh, wrong page. I lied to you. That's not the next list. That's the list. We'll go back to the next page. So these are things that we feel need to happen for the building to open as a school. One of the 8, there's 2 HVAC units. One of them isn't working. It's a $30,000 replacement. It does not have a sprinkler system. And technically, the size of the building by law, it doesn't need to have a sprinkler system. But the general feeling is that this is going to be a school facility, we should add a sprinkler system. They're going to put in an external vestibule as like a security door. So if you go back to this picture, it doesn't have a secure entrance. So they're going to build out in front of the main entrance now and create a vestibule with a double entry, like most schools have in terms of having a secure entrance to the facility. Some cosmetic updates, painting, flooring, etc. Adding a security system, furniture, playground installation, because this is going to be an elementary school age kids. That's planned for the future. So that's basically if they feel like they have the $60,000 to do that now, they'll start looking at playground equipment. If they have to put that off a year based on cost, they can do that. Minor construction to build a couple interior offices. They're going to repave. The paving's not terrible, but they just feel like they're going to open up a new building. They're going to repave the whole parking lot. There's enough parking space in the facility. They're going to upgrade the landscaping, put in some nice new trees, and then just some general exterior upgrades. So that comes to a total, should we go to the next page, of about $520,000 in improvements that need to be made to the building to open. Reed's has allowed to maintain a surplus. Their surplus cannot be more than 25% of the overall operating budget. So they're, even though it's a public institute, it's able to maintain and roll money over, which makes sense because sometimes enrollment wanes and differs, and they have to, so they're not always increasing costs. Currently, their cumulative surplus is $2.7 million. Which is 19% of the limit, so 19% of the 25, so they actually are in pretty good shape. So the intent here is to not finance any of these upgrades, is to pay for it all out of the cumulative surplus, which will still put them in a position of having a cumulative surplus of $2.2 million after these renovations are done and completed. Okay? So they did, going back a couple slides, they did decide to purchase because they looked, and they're actually looking to do the goal is to do a 5-year mortgage. And ultimately, when they looked at, I didn't put the comparative slide in here, but they looked at leases, whether it was a 5-year lease or a 10-year lease. And the crazy part, like anything these days, you'd rent, the rental price wasn't much cheaper. Except you don't have anything at the end of the rental. So like home buying right now, if you go and you're paying your rent, and your rent's really expensive, and your rent's the same price as your mortgage, but at the end of the rent, there's nothing there. So they decided to be aggressive and to do a 5-year mortgage. And when you do the comparative to what the rental price was going to be versus the mortgage price made sense. And then even looking at 5 versus 10 or 15 years. Obviously, you're doing a 15-year mortgage. You're going to pay back a lot more money. The principal, the payment's going to be cheaper each month. But they actually feel like they can be aggressive and pay this down in 5 years without a tremendous cost increase to districts. So my presentation is a lot of up there. Here's the reality. Right? So in the program, there's 2 tiers. There's a tier 1 student and a tier 2 student. Currently, a tier 1 student, the tuition is $75,060. Being able to pay the new mortgage if they buy this facility, the tier 1 tuition for next year will rise to $92,880. Sorry, I did that backwards. Tier 1, I read that backwards. Tier 1's going to go from $75,060 to $82,880. Tier 2 is going to go from $92,880 to $101,340. Carver currently has 1 tier 2 student at the school. So the immediate impact for us would be an increase in tuition of $8,460 for next year. There's going to be no increase in tuition for the other Reads programs. So Reads is putting the full price of this tuition increase on to those students in the deaf and hard of hearing program. They're not doing it as a tuition price across the board. Because ultimately, yes, that's doing bad math, at 92,000 to 101, that's about a little under a 10% increase, about a 9% increase in cost. And obviously that cost is going to stay for the life of the mortgage. In theory, it's sort of like a debt exclusion. Should come off once the mortgage is paid, but we're all looking at will that happen. But maybe their tuitions after the mortgage is paid won't go up as much. Because these places are always having a slow increase. Like all costs, there's always a inflation index that brings the cost up. And hopefully after 5 years, that will slow based on, in essence, taking this extra money to pay the mortgage for the new facility. So in the end, I support this. And why do I support it? And my intention at the meeting's coming up next week, where the board is going to vote on this. Obviously, I am the school committee's representative on that board. You do not need to vote to approve the purchase. That's not a requirement. But certainly I want to give you the opportunity to tell you what my vote intends to be. Take your input. If you feel like I'm making a poor decision, then it should be my vote to support this, then I wouldn't. But the reason why I do recommend supporting the purchase is, it maintains connection with the Norton staff through inclusion. The program is currently fully staffed. That's a huge piece. Right now, some of these are specialized positions that are hard to get people for. And if this program got split up and put into different buildings, you might lose some of your staff. So obviously undermine that stability. As I said, the building is located less than a half mile from a current elementary school. It seems like a big list of updates, but generally it's minor updates to be open as a school facility. Obviously, if it was closed, that would have a huge negative impact on the whole area, including for us. Long-term, the cost of the purchase and owning the facility outweighs the short-term savings of leasing or renting. And then really, ultimately, this is a long-term solution. Purchasing this building is going to have enough space for this program for whatever, the next 10, 15, 20 years. And as long as the Norton administration, that's the one thing is they are still going to enter into an agreement with Norton to use the inclusion services. But Norton has a new superintendent, she's in her second year, but she's fully supportive of the program. She's someone who's been in the Norton Public School District for many years. I don't see her, changing her mind in 2 years and saying, no, we're not going to keep this relationship. So I feel like it maintains that long-term relationship with Norton Public Schools. And it's my intent next week to go and vote in support of the purchase, with the short-term impact for the Carver Public Schools being an increase in tuition of $8,460. So I'll take any questions or thoughts, or I think it's the thing that makes the most sense to the program.
Yeah.
Make most sense to the program like that at this time.
Absolutely agree. I'm glad they found something that really wasn't required that much run out to open. That's
And it was so close to where they were.
Yeah. It's like it was meant to be.
That's exciting for a subset to get their own building.
Yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it's right on Route 123 in Norton, and that's where Norton High is, that's where Norton Middle School is, that's where the elementary schools are, and all the schools are on, it'd be like Route 58, all the schools are on one street, literally within 2 miles of each other.
It's great. It's fantastic.
Lucky them.
Yeah, so it worked out well. Any other questions at this time, or thoughts?
Nope.
As I said, this doesn't require a vote of the school committee, but I would certainly take your input if you wanted to make a different decision.
Nope. I think it makes perfect sense. It's a win-win.
All right, well, thank you.
So absolutely, thank you for all of that information. Okay, and that brings us to upcoming events, and look at how packed that calendar is.
Upcoming events is packed. Just give me a second. Well, what we will see for upcoming events in April and May, you see the word test on there a lot. So from now until about the third week in May, some student somewhere will be taking some sort of exam, whether it's the MCATs or the NWEA or AP exams. There's a lot of testing happening. But beyond that, there's also a lot of great things happening in the school district. I'll hit on a couple of them. We do have our Family Fun Night, which we started. If you remember, that was our first event that we ran, that we invited the public to after COVID.
Yep.
It started kind of a nice little tradition that we're looking to maintain. So that's next Wednesday, the 16th at 6 o'clock. We actually have a lot of performances. We have a couple of members from Six and from The Lion King. Jeremy's community band is going to perform, which is a band of alumni. So we're excited about some opportunities that night. So maybe about 45 minutes of performance, and then family bingo and the evening is totally free for everybody. So we're excited about that. We're getting into prom season. So the prom is on May 2nd.
These phrases so fast. Yep, so fast.
I know we're going to talk about Day on the Hill later on. That's our agenda to mention that. So that's coming up on May 6th. And I guess that's what I'm going to highlight for now, except for we're getting the concerts. And again, the May High School Band concert, chorus concert on May 22nd. Hooray for Kay. So we start getting into some of our end of the year events coming up. It will go quick. You come back from April vacation, it goes like that. So we're almost there.
Yep.
That's all I have for upcoming events.
Excellent. Thank you for that. I know, time is a funny thing. Okay, so that brings us to recommendations from the superintendent and the financial update from Ron.
Our financial update is very light, literally just the warrant right now. It's on that second page there, and we're early in fourth quarter, so just one payroll, which is actually your final quarter 3 payroll, and then your expenses. Answer any questions you've got, otherwise just request a vote by the committee.
Yes.
What?
I move that we approve the warrants as presented tonight.
A second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Ron. Second item is disposition of materials.
So we do have a couple of items as the year comes to a close. It was spring cleaning for us that we would request the committee vote as surplus. Again, pursuant to your policy DN, we follow a process once you vote to A, see if we can't sell any of these items. This particular batch wouldn't really be sellable items, but B, see if we can't donate them to other schools, nonprofits, those sorts of things. You've got 2 batches here. The first is from your technology department. A large variety of equipment is either no longer able to function or has come to end of life. And at the bottom, you see some desks that are in storage currently at the middle high school. Those may be able to find a home in other schools, and we typically reach out to our colleagues locally, as well as other public schools like charter schools, and then we go on to like parochials and those sorts of things. So if we can find a home, we certainly will find a home before having to dispose. Again, I'll answer any questions that you have, and just request the committee vote to deem these surplus.
I move to approve the disposition of the items reviewed this evening.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, Ron. The next item on our agenda is naming of high school gym in honor of Rocky Gomes.
And so there's been some discussion in the community in naming the high school gym in honor of Rocky Gomes. Rocky Gomes passed away on December 15th of 2024 at the age of 77. And I'll tell you a little about Rocky's background and why there's some interest in naming the middle high school gymnasium after him. I will say what I linked in the background was the naming policy. So the naming of any building or anything within a building is the sole discretion of the school committee. So the school committee would have to vote to name any space or any building that is under the school committee's jurisdiction. But it is your authority to name a space within a building. Rocky attended the Governor John School and graduated from Plymouth Carver Regional High School, the class of 1965. Rocky had a long career in high school athletics, was employed by the Plymouth Carver School District beginning in 1987, where he served as a teacher, a coach, and athletic director for both middle school and high school sports. Rocky coached basketball, wrestling, cross country, and high school track and field. And was most well known as a track and field coach, so he coached all those other sports as well. He assumed the role of Director of Athletics in July of 1991, where he served until his retirement in 2006. He was also active at the state level, serving on the Massachusetts State Cross Country and Track and Field Committee, and was a member of the Carver High School Superintendent's Task Force on Diversity. Rocky was honored by the Eastern Massachusetts Association of Football and Basketball Officials for his valuable contribution to high school athletics, and in 2001, he received the President's Merit of Honor Award for service to his school and his community. In December of 2005, before retiring from the Carver schools, Rocky established an athletic scholarship fund for deserving high school seniors. And then in September 13th of 2010, he was recognized and inducted as part of the first class of the Carver Athletic Hall of Fame. Outside of school, Rocky had served in a variety of roles on both the South Shore and particularly was involved in youth sports. Personally, I had the opportunity to work with Rocky when I started in 1993 in the district as a teacher and as a coach. So I got to work with him as a coach. I got to work with him as assistant principal. And the year I was named as principal was the year that he retired as the athletic director. So I got to have the opportunity to work with him in several roles. There are many people who believe that Rocky was the foundation of our athletic program in the Carver Public Schools. And that's why I think there is strong community interest and support in naming the gym in Rocky's honor. So his family is holding a memorial service in his honor. And when Rocky passed away, he was actually out in California and didn't mention that at the time. He had moved out to California several years ago. But his family wants to hold a memorial ceremony here at Carver Middle High School on May 3rd at 2 o'clock, which is going to be out in the field at the middle high school. We're doing some more advertising about that. Ultimately, I do recommend and support the idea of naming the facility in Rocky's honor. And we do have several spots throughout the district that are named, most prominently at the elementary school. So the only spot in the middle high school that is named in someone's honor is the library, which is the Priscilla Ramsey Library. The Priscilla Ramsey Library, who was named after the school's librarian, Priscilla Ramsey, who passed away from cancer around the year 2000. And I had the opportunity to work with Priscilla as well as the librarian of the school, so I have fond memories of her as well. At the elementary school, we did name the gymnasium in honor of Dick Ward. So there's the Dick Ward Gymnasium, and we named all the project areas, which were actually researched by a group of 5th grade students at the time, which I think were last year's graduating seniors, I think. I think Corinne was one of the people involved in naming of those spaces, I think. And then also the book room, the book collection, is named in honor of the former superintendent, Elizabeth Sorrell. So those are the spaces that are currently named throughout the district. Obviously naming a space or naming a part of a facility is a major task. It's an important task. I think it's something that the committee should take some time to think about and be reflective upon in terms of bestowing that honor, but it's certainly something I would recommend. Obviously, based on the school committee policy, it does take a motion, a vote of the school committee to name any space in the facility. So ultimately, I would leave it to you whether you want to make that decision tonight, whether you want to take some time and wait till the next meeting on April 29th, which is before the ceremony on May 3rd. And I'll answer any questions you have or turn it to the committee for discussion.
I just would like to point out that both Kelly and I were lucky enough to attend school in Carver when Rocky Gomes was in charge of the athletic department. And as somebody that was not super athletic in high school, I still felt how much he loved and cared and cherished every single student that attended Carver, whether they were athletes or not. He knew every student by name. Again, if you played a sport or not, he would make sure to go out of his way to make sure you were having a good day. And So I think that it's really important that we do honor his memory and his contributions to our community and name the gymnasium after him. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional.
You're making me emotional too, because I feel exactly the same way. I had the pleasure of knowing Rocky for many, many years, knowing his family, his friends, the entire community. He was an amazing man. He was an amazing person. I was also not particularly athletic in high school, but he did. He went out of his way to know every single student, to know things about them personally, talk with them, just spend time with them. He really cared about everybody. And so it's my honor to make a motion here to name the gym at Carver Middle High School in honor of Rocky Gomes.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for sharing your personal stories. I know from all the community members I've spoken with, seems like he was really an amazing man and a big part of our students' lives over the years. So I'm very honored to be part of that. I wish I had the opportunity to know him, but I look forward to celebrating him and his family and with our community in May.
Yeah, so I'm very honored that Rocky's family has actually asked me to speak at the memorial service. So my intention is to speak. And Rocky was a mentor for me as a young teacher and a young coach in the Carver Public Schools. And I'm glad I'm going to have the opportunity to share some of my memories about him on the day of the ceremony on May 3rd. I will say I had some initial conversations with the family about if the school committee did decide to move forward and do this recognition, which you have, about what it might look like. And we were talking about something simple, very similar to what we have at the elementary school, which would just be a plaque outside of the gym that would honor Rocky and put that right. You know, we'll have to make a decision whether we put it right at the entrance to the gym or right inside the gym. We'll talk about the placement of the plaque. But they were very comfortable. That was really their suggestion, is that's what they'd like to see happen if the school can move forward. So we'll begin working on. The goal would be to have the plaque in place by May 3rd.
Excellent. Great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to field trips.
Yeah, we have a whole group of field trips from grade 6 to Camp Burgess next year, to a culinary trip to Newport, to the senior class trip to Florida next year, 2026, and obviously, and then Canopy Lake for the 8th graders in this year of 2025. Obviously, next year's field trips, we try to get them approved now, because we need school committee approval before they can start advertising and fundraising for those events. So I would support all these field trips.
Okay, I move that we support all of the field trips for 2025, 2026 listed here tonight.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Have a great time, everyone. There's so many wonderful things. I'm sorry?
You mean me? I would be sleeping over at Camp Burgess probably.
That is a rite of passage.
Yeah, apparently.
It wasn't Camp Burgess somewhere. It was
I've been told by the
Morning.
child I have.
Morndale. I'm like, I've blocked it from my mind. It was a great experience. Okay, so that brings us to reports from the school committee. So Kelly and I, who were on that subcommittee, met with Mr. Neve, where he presented his, actually he shared his, oh my gosh, I apologize. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. There you go, evidence. That's the word I could not think of, evidence. He presented his evidence for all of us to review, and then the subcommittee will compile everyone's comments, put together a final report, and submit that. So let's see. There are 4 standards that are evaluated: instructional leadership, management and operations, family and community engagement, and professional culture, and an overall rating.
And also, you have to give a rating on each of my goals as well.
Yes. So, so we went through and gave ratings on all of the goals. What I had emailed the committee about and asked for were some comments if anyone wanted to share anything, so that we could include it in the final report, which will also be shared with the full committee. Do you have a question?
No, I don't. I'll forward you some stuff.
Okay. Yeah. The subcommittee will meet, compile all that information, put it into the final report, share it with everyone, and then it will go on file. So I can go through each and let everyone know where we are. It's not linked in here, right? No. Okay, which is fine.
I opened it from the email.
Okay. Would you like to present any of it?
No.
No? Okay.
Nobody
Okay.
needs to hear me sniffling while we do that.
Okay. Okay, so, I should have stapled this. This happened to me the last time too. Okay, there we go. Instructional leadership. The overall rating was proficient. Does everyone want me to go through each subset of the standard? I know everyone's reviewed the document. I will just say quickly, 1A curriculum was exemplary, instruction was proficient, assessment proficient, evaluation proficient, and data-informed decision-making proficient. So the overall rating for that goal was proficient. Second is management operations. A was environment, it's proficient. Human resources management and development, proficient. Scheduling and management information systems, proficient. Law, ethics, and policies, proficient. Fiscal systems, exemplary, with an overall rating of proficient. So next, that brings me to family and community engagement. Section A is engagement, exemplary. Section B is sharing responsibility, proficient. Section C is communication, proficient. Section D is family concerns, proficient, with an overall rating of proficient. Next is professional culture. Section A is commitment to high standards, proficient. Cultural proficiency. Section B, proficient. C, communications, exemplary. D, continuous learning, proficient. Shared vision, proficient. Managing conflict, proficient. And an overall rating of proficient. So, we have not finalized the report yet, again, because we would like to receive input from the full committee so we can compile that, which we will share with everyone, including Superintendent Neef. So it was, I think the evidence that was submitted really gave a good insight into all of the work that Mr. Neef has done as superintendent of our district. And I am very appreciative of all of that work. I'm very appreciative of all the work that everyone in our district does. And I appreciate the level of detail of the evidence that you submitted. Because not everyone understands fully what school committee members do. We're not involved in the day-to-day operations at the schools. I don't go into Mrs. Cabral's office and tell her how to run her day, or one of the teachers, right? We're a higher view than that. So it's Mr. Neef's responsibility to make sure that everyone under him is doing their job to the best of their ability, so our students are having the best experience that they can. So a way for us to get into more of the weeds, as Ron would say, is through Mr. Neef supporting his evidence and through all the wonderful presentations that we have at our meetings, sharing data and student experience and success stories and opportunities. So I appreciate that level that we were all able to review in order to put together the summary evaluation for Mr. Neef.
So you have to do a rating on the goals.
Okay.
And then my recommendation, which the committee take or not take, would be to do you have to vote the overall rating and the rating on the 4 standards.
Okay.
So you can do that this evening, you can do that after you bring the whole report together.
I was thinking once we compile the report, we would do it then. How does everyone feel about that? Or are you comfortable with doing it now and then doing the final report afterwards?
I haven't completed,
Reviewing everything? Okay.
but it's just, I mean, more wild disagreement with what you got.
Okay. Because I know there's a lot of information that was provided with the evidence.
We have time though, right? So because we have another school committee meeting this month?
Yes.
So
Yeah, and ultimately, historically, we've tried to, for the superintendents, we've tried to do the vote and the rating prior to town election,
oh, yeah.
because
That's
we
right.
wouldn't want new committee members coming in to vote the evaluation. But in this situation, since our two members who are unopposed, so I think it's fine if you vote the full rating after, in April, either April or May.
Yeah, if you want to review further, we have time.
Yeah. So we
Maybe
can
I aren't going.
we can do April 29th, or we can do
Yeah,
May.
I was on the trip and
Yeah.
I just got back to
Yeah,
it.
no problem.
I was just trying to see. So April 29th is our next meeting?
Yeah, let's,
And-
Tuesday, right?
Yep.
it's a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
and you can also do May as well. You can do May 17th too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Tuesday, that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if no one actually votes for us, you're stuck with us.
That's right.
You're stuck with us anyway.
As long as we vote for ourselves.
Right?
Okay.
You should be guaranteed
No, I
5
vote for
votes at
you.
least.
What size of it?
No,
It's not, is it 30 days yet? No, yeah,
it is,
within
yeah,
30 days.
we could. but
Anyway.
no, I was gonna start this week, but.
I'd say electro.
As we digress.
I'm gonna have to
All right, we already
argue
digressed
with
that.
the
Okay,
I need
so
to
at
get
our
my-
next
I need to get my ducks in a row is basically what I need to do.
on April
We'll put it
29th,
back on the agenda for.
yeah,
April 29th, yeah.
we will have the full report done. Everyone will have given their input and we'll be ready to vote on all of the goals. So next is Day on the Hill. Would you like to speak to that?
I wasn't going to specifically.
Okay.
I was going to let you do that. I figured you'd like to talk about that now.
Not a problem. So Day on the Hill is a day of advocacy through the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, where our members come from all over the state, and some bring their student reps with them or student council. We get together in the morning, we have presentations from senators, from state representatives, from different members of different committees around education for the Commonwealth. And from there, we have breakfast, and then we go to the State House, where culinary schools culinary programs at vocational technical schools from across the Commonwealth serve an amazing lunch. So they put together an unbelievable assortment of food, but it's really great because the students are there and they're so proud and they love to interact with people. So it's really great to hear from the students, hear about their experiences, see their excitement. And then after lunch, everyone is encouraged to meet with their legislators. So I have reached out to make appointments. I'm waiting to hear back confirmation. Hopefully we'll be able to get some FaceTime with our Representative Gasky and Senator Dooner. It's a great opportunity for students to visit the State House, to meet other students from across the country, across the Commonwealth, and to meet with other superintendents, other school committee members. It's really a great way to focus our advocacy, so that way when we go to the State House, we can share the real life experiences that students have in the classrooms and in our districts. To me, it's important to have student voice so that the legislators can see what they're voting on, who it's affecting, how it's affecting. Whether you choose to fund a program will determine what type of experience, what type of opportunity students have. So it's really our opportunity to go to the State House for the day to ask for support of public education and opportunities for students. So,
Well, if any members of the school committee would like to attend,
yes.
Gina and I will register you, so I don't know who, I don't know if anybody's interested in attending on May 6th. I believe Stephanie's attending.
Yes, it's on a Tuesday. So I know that that's difficult because we all work. I have a board meeting with MASC the night before, so
I'll be attending.
I will be there, and I am currently vice chair of the legislative committee for MASC, so I will even likely be part of the program. But it's always a great opportunity to see school committee members from across the Commonwealth. It's great to share stories, learn best practices from our colleagues.
Is there a deadline to register?
I don't think there's a deadline on the form. I would say if you could.
Yeah, I think if you let us know before Friday before.
I would think so. That's what I was going to say.
I think it was the Friday, like
Next
by the end
Wednesday.
of this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just see if I can figure it out.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, and there's no fee for students to attend, which is great.
Katie's gone in the past.
Yeah, the past 2 years.
Last year, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been great. I love seeing the students advocate. So I think it's important to remind people that that's why we're school committee members, because we're advocating for public education and creating opportunities for students, AKA children. So I think it's a great way to spend a day in the city. So with that, I'm assuming no one has any questions about Day on the Hill? Does anyone have anything they would like to report? Nope. I will very quickly just say that I got back at 3 o'clock this morning from Atlanta, Georgia, where I attended the National School Board Association annual conference since Friday, so it was a weekend conference. I am now 2 degrees from Kevin Bacon, just saying. The Bacon brothers were speakers, and they actually performed. It was a great experience to see, because prior to them coming out, there was a group of students that sang, danced, they had a full band. They were absolutely incredible. And when the Bacon brothers were going to perform, they brought out 2 of the students from that band, and they taught them bongos and like tambourines so they could accompany them. And it was really just great to see that spontaneousness happen between the Bacon brothers and students. Their mother started a nursery school projects in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. So they shared their experience of the arts and how much it means to them, and how much his older brother, Michael, who's a college professor. So they just shared their experience and how the arts and drama and creativity and imagination really helped shape who they are, and their mother's role in that. So it was pretty amazing to learn that their mother started the first elementary school in that area of Philadelphia. So one person really can make a huge impact on immeasurable amount of students' lives. So the school's still there, flourishing, which was great to see. And there were also some other great speakers, some other great sessions that I attended. One thing I would like to put on our next agenda also is putting together a retreat over the summer for us. I'd like to have our new field representative for our division from MASC come and spend some time with us and work on our AI policy. And there are some things that there are some areas that I think that we can widen our net, so to speak. It was really incredible to hear the things that they're doing with AI in terms of curriculum and real-world hands-on experience. So lots there to unpack, but it was a great experience. A little tired, but it's all worth it. It's all for the greater good. And again, it's great to connect with people from across the country, hear about what their students are accomplishing, hearing about some things that they'd like to elevate in their own districts, like student voice. I was in a session about student voice, and I was sharing some of the things that we've done here, especially over the last few years, and really getting our students involved in our meetings and really hearing their voices directly. So it was really great to make some connections with some people who want to start to develop that, and to be able to, pick up a best practice here and there, but also share some of the great things that we're doing with others, so they can help elevate their students' voices as well. So with that, happy April, right? Enjoy April vacation before we see everybody again. I'm sure everyone's ready for a nice break. So with that, if someone would like to make a motion to adjourn to executive session.
I move that we adjourn the open session of the Carver School Committee, April 7th, 2025, and go into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the EAPC, not to return to open session.
I second. Excellent. We have a motion and a second. It's a roll call vote.
Kelly Neamy, aye.
Stephanie Clarity, aye.
Katie Sullivan, aye.
Okay, we are adjourned, 7:19 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Enjoy your night.
Yes, right, I think there are public...
Make your paper signed.